Okay, once I see myself, all right, there we are. All right, thank you so much for joining me here on the First Alert Desk. My name is Tori Cooper. Happy to welcome you in here. We love peeling back the curtain for you and letting you know what's transpiring around you in our community, and also just letting you know what's going on in our newsroom. We don't always get the chance to bring you up to speed, but that's what's awesome. We get to just kind of take a different approach on the First Alert Desk and really tell you some of the processes involved in our reporting, and we get to share it with you. So if you've been following any of the coverage, you know that it's been a wild day in Metro Atlanta. We have covered two massive stories that have garnered not only local attention, but national attention. Let's start with the main story that we brought to you as breaking news shortly after 2 o'clock. That's when we learned about 4 people that were shot in downtown Atlanta at the Peachtree Center Mall. That's when we learned that 4 people were shot. We didn't have too many details at the time, but they had it all roped off in caution tape. We sent our reporters out there, and then finally, after several hours, we did finally hear from the Atlanta Police Chief, Darren Shearbaum, as well as Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. They provided an update for us, and here's what happened. Let me show you some of the video at this scene, just so that we can just take you there. Let's play this out. So you can see there's one of the victims, or we don't know if we know that that's one of the people that was shot in that video you just saw, but you can see a heavy police presence here. We were told that this all unfolded in the food court at the Peachtree Center Mall. We're told that the suspect got into a physical altercation with a man, shot that man, then opened fire on 2 other women, shooting them, and then an off-duty police officer from the Atlanta Police Department jumped into action and then shot the suspect. That is now the 4th victim that is in the hospital, but not the victim. He is the suspect, I should say, but he is in police custody. But that was the 4th person that was shot in this shooting that transpired at the Peachtree Center Mall. They quickly responded. The response was very swift, and that's why this did come to a close after a number of hours. It was about 2 hours. The GBI is helping investigate this. There was MARTA was helping assist in this, the Atlanta Police Department, of course, and they had the Fulton County Sheriffs out there. And we know that there was a number of victims, 2 victims that went to Grady, and we know that the suspect either went to Grady or Emory, and one of the victims also went to Grady or Emory. So that's the very latest that took place in that shooting. That area is open and clear now, but that was a very chaotic part of our city earlier tonight. So now let's switch gears, because this story broke on air while I was anchoring. This was something that none of us expected. We were covering this shooting, and then all of a sudden, another breaking news story funnels into our newsroom. We learned that there was a bus pursuit. Now let's take you to that scene. This was taking place in Gwinnett County. Let me run this video now. Here we go. This is the bus that GSP, along with other police officers, were trying to slow down. When we first saw this, we didn't know if the bus was going to pull over, but as soon as they started rear-ending other vehicles, T-boning, and we started seeing police officers trying to do what they could with pit maneuvers and other tactics to try to get this bus to slow down, we knew it was a pursuit. Eventually, they got off at Jimmy Carter Boulevard and started just barreling down that part of the community where schools are. Parents are picking up their kids from school. This is the rush hour. And also this bus really just turned into a weapon because of just how massive this bus is, going at this speed through the community, not obeying traffic laws. There was no regard for human life in this situation, but luckily the bus driver had to finally slow down. They did use some spike strips that took out the back wheels of this bus, and eventually when it finally slowed down, let's see if this video is going to actually play out to that moment, but I could tell you about it so you can anticipate it. Eventually the bus finally comes to a stop, and then the officers from the SWAT vehicles to GSP, they immediately rush over to this bus. They start demanding people get out of the bus. They all start pouring out of the bus, and they start with their hands up. They're rushed to the ground. They're trying to determine who the suspect was. And then suddenly we start seeing chopper video from the First Alert chopper. We start seeing them rushing a man to the police car with his hands behind his back. And unfortunately, what we did learn later on in our newscast and throughout this evening, we did learn that one person was shot and killed in this bus pursuit. There was an altercation, gunfire that erupted on this bus, and then the bus was taken hostage. All the people on the bus were, and we don't know who that person is, but we do know that one person died who was on this bus today. So that's the very latest that we have from this investigation. This is going to be a very lengthy investigation. We're going to learn who was on this bus. It's amazing that no one else was injured because of how many other people were on the interstate at this time and on Jimmy Carter Boulevard. So the fact that the other people who were hit by this bus weren't injured, it's really amazing how police did a great job at bringing this to a close, but it's unfortunate that someone lost their life. So as we get more details, you'll hear about it right here on the First Alert Desk. Those are the top stories I felt that you needed to know about. We're already chasing down people who saw this happen, witnesses who say they saw this bus crash into other vehicles and who were really right by this when it was all happening. So we're going to hopefully get to speak to them. We're going to learn more about the suspect. All of these details are going to start to funnel out, and we'll share them with you right here. But now let's talk about the best part of our day that was interrupted by all of this chaos, which is the weather outside. It's really starting to feel like summer, and this is when people were probably outside enjoying a lot of this sunshine, and then the shooting unfolds. So yeah, I'm really glad that at least we can focus on the week ahead. Let's bring in First Alert meteorologist Patrick Pete. He's going to break down the forecast that you can expect over the next coming days. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Tori. Hey, Atlanta. And as Sean Gables likes to say, this is a global show. So hey to everyone that is outside of the city of Atlanta. I hope you all are having a fantastic evening. Obviously the news has been very heavy today. We've been in the studio all day watching this information come in, and our team is still hard at work getting new elements for you. They're going to be bringing that to you tonight on Peachtree TV at 10, and of course we'll have more of that at 11 on Atlanta News First. It has been a hard day, but it's also been a beautiful day outside. And I say that just to shift gears to the weather part of the forecast. We are watching two First Alert weather days in the forecast. This is Friday and Saturday. It's going to get hot, y'all, and that is going to be the short and sweet version of what I have to say this evening, but it's going to get very hot, near record-breaking temperature hot, and that's why we have two First Alert weather days coming down the pipeline for both Friday and Saturday. So let's walk you through that, and of course, I'll walk you through this nice little warm-up that we're going to be having. I saw someone at the pool on Sunday while it was 93 degrees outside. She told me that it was not hot enough. She said it was chilly. I'm going to let her live, but it was hot enough for me then, and it's going to get hotter as we head through the next couple of days. Dew points are pretty low for us this time of year outside right now. They're in the low 50s. I say all that to say that it's not bad. It's a little sticky, but it's pretty comfortable for the month of June. Temperatures are still warm in the mid-80s. I expect us to fall into the mid-60s tonight. So whereas a lot of you woke up to numbers in the upper 50s this morning and we were in the low 60s here in the city, it is going to be a degree or two warmer. We have a few more clouds around, and that's really going to help keep us a little bit warmer through the overnight. I still think it's going to be comfortable, and compared to the numbers that are coming down the pipeline, that 65 is a win. We have a high pressure that's going to be building in over the course of the next couple of days. And when you have high pressure, essentially you have sinking air. And whenever this happens, you think of this air being compressed, it typically heats. So that's also going to suppress a lot of clouds. It's also going to suppress a lot of rain, but we're also going to get baked. We're going to see these temperatures gradually increase as we head through the next couple of days, and that's why we have this first alert extended for both Friday and Saturday. It's the heads up, the heat is coming. We're not in that it's dangerous heat. It's because heat is always dangerous, to be quite frank. Anytime that it's 80 and above, in theory, there's an inherent risk for someone. I mean, if you're in a car and it's 80 degrees outside, you're in that car with the windows up for 3 hours, it's going to heat up inside. So, but we're not in that heat advisory, taking a break every 15 minutes. We're not there yet, but we're going to be near record territory, and that's why we have the First Alert weather days for the weekend. To be quite frank, we've been quantifying this as a low impact first alert because it's June, it's the South, it's supposed to be hot, but we still want to give you that heads up because we know everybody's trying to get into the streets this weekend. I am, you are, I know what that life is like, and I just want to make sure that you're handling your business on the front end. Start hydrating now so that your body is used to that hydration as we head into the weekend. As these temperatures increase, your body has more water in it, and you get used to those practices of increased hydration. I'm not here to teach you how to live your life, but I do want to make sure that you're here to live it. So take that information with you Let me pull up the YouTube chat real quick just because I want to see if anybody's commenting, because I love to see that engagement. No one's commenting right now, and that's okay. But let's walk you through the day tomorrow. There will be a few more clouds around compared to what we saw today, but I still expect us to warm up. Most locations are going to top out in the upper 80s. Right now, we have that forecast high at Hartsville-Jackson at 90 degrees. So we expect tomorrow to be the first day of the beginning of a series of days that are 90 degrees and above. And whenever we talk to you on TV, we have 3 minutes. Depending on who our producer is, it may be 2.5. Depends on what's going on in the world, like today, where you don't see us at all. But we don't really get the opportunity to dive into some of the things that we say that you hear a lot. And you probably hear the term heat wave often, and it sounds scary. A heat wave for us means that we're expecting at least 3 consecutive days for the afternoon temperatures to reach 90 degrees or above. It's our way of saying it's going to be hot. It's another way to say it. You know how the world is. We like to come up with terms for everything, and that's our way of telling you, hey, a series of days is going to be hot, and 90-plus degrees is what we're expecting as we end the work week. The reason why Friday and Saturday are elevated is because we're going to be in the mid to upper 90s. I even suspect that some areas, maybe Upson County-ish, could hit that 99, 100 degree on Saturday. We're still watching it, not expecting anyone else to experience it, but we're watching our southernmost part of the viewing area because they could see that 99 or maybe even a little bit higher down there. But 90 degrees tomorrow afternoon. This is going to happen when you're driving home from work. Let's hope that your AC is working. If not, maybe you should lift the Uber, call a friend, because it's going to be hot in the afternoon. It really is. I can't even lie. 90 degrees here in Atlanta, but you can see that most of the metro will top out in the upper 80s. A little bit more humidity tomorrow, but I still think it's a great evening to check out Michelle and Sherelle. They're hosting like this Wind Down Wednesday situation, so there's going to be music and vibes. I think it's going to be nice. It's actually outdoors, so you probably want to drink white wine. Temperatures fall into the low 80s at 9 o'clock, but at least we're rain-free. So as long as you're ordering a glass of water with your wine, I don't see any harm in partaking in that situation. Starting off your Thursday morning, warmer again. So tomorrow, mid-60s. Thursday morning, upper 60s for that morning drive. Still okay, but you see that trend. That will continue as we head through this process. Getting into the 80s quickly, mid-80s around lunchtime, so lunch break. It's going to be noticeably a little bit more humid Thursday afternoon. Not terrible, but something that you'll feel. It's going to be muggy. It's going to be sticky. We all get into the low 90s for a couple of hours, and then we see those numbers trend a little bit cooler. Expect a little bit more sunshine Thursday compared to what we see tomorrow. So partly to mostly cloudy tomorrow, and it's going to be high cloud. So it's not going to be the ominous, scary-looking clouds. It's just that whenever you look up, you're going to see some white stuff way up there. It's going to be thin. So we'll still warm up because they're going to be way up there and they're going to be thinner, but nonetheless, there's a difference between the thin clouds and the thick clouds. This is a meteorology class, but the thicker clouds, they typically keep you a little bit cooler in essence because the light from the sun can't make it through the thick clouds. Got it? I'm sorry, y'all. I enjoyed this a little bit too much. Anyways, heading into Friday, that's our first of 2 first alert weather days. You can see why this map is noticeably warmer. We're talking about getting 96 here in Atlanta, Covington, Athens, 97 in Rome, 95 in Carrollton. And Carrollton is normally a little bit cooler than everybody else, but still getting into the mid-90s. It's going to be hot. It's going to be a scorcher. We say this every year when we start to get into this season about making sure you're not locking your kids in your car or leaving your kids in your car, making sure you're not leaving your pets in your car. Every year, these things happen, and it happens because we have 1,000,001 things going on in our minds as we're going about our days. I can tell you that even my little 9-hour shift here, I have about 7,000 different things that I'm running in my mind that I'm trying to get done, and that's just at work. In regular life, everybody has responsibilities, kids, pets, the dogs need to be walked. It's very easy to just kind of like slip past one of those steps. So we always say, look before you lock. Anytime that you hit that beep beep, make sure that you just take a look at your car and make sure there's not a dog pawing at the window. Make sure you got that, the baby out. Make sure you got your kids out, because we are getting into that time where, remember how I mentioned earlier in this stream that even in 80 degrees, technically there's an inherent danger if you're in a car for hours. Because you're increasing the temperature outside, the window shrinks. The amount of time that it takes to heat the internal temperature of your car is reduced. So all I'm saying is it's going to be hot this weekend. I don't want these stories in our newscast on Monday. Hint, hint, make sure you look before you lock. And also hydrate. I keep saying that, but drink water, not soda, not lemonade, not sweet tea. Those are all amazing drinks. Make sure that you're supplementing all of that with water. Anyways, the feel-like temperatures are going to be something that we're watching as well, but because the humidity isn't going to be oppressive, the dew points aren't going to be terribly high, we're not expecting to get heat advisories or any of that kind of stuff. So those feel-like numbers are going to be a couple degrees warmer, and I do think that Saturday we could have some areas that feel like 100, 101, 102. I don't think we're going to be at that 105 criteria number that we would expect to see heat advisories issued. So no worries of that. I mentioned in our newscast earlier today that the only real concern for tomorrow is the fact that there's a code orange air quality alert that only impacts the elderly and kids and people who have respiratory issues, COPD, asthma, all of that stuff. If you have the First Alert Weather app on your phone, you probably saw that in our push earlier. I'm going to be doing another update on that app in just a little bit to talk about that. But other than that, everyone else is fine. If you're concerned about it, you could do a couple of things to help reduce the number of ozone particles in the atmosphere. You could fill up your tank in the morning. Don't do it in the afternoon and the evening. Do it early in the morning or late at night. Cutting the grass early in the morning. That helps reduce the ozone. Other than that, I think we're good here. 7-day forecast shows what you already know if you've been on this stream for any amount of time. It's getting hot, y'all. It's June. And while y'all are trying to get out of the pool, these numbers are going to be a little uncomfortable. Remember to drink water, wear the wide brim hat, wear the sunscreen because the UV index is off the chain. And then Saturday, I'd say between the hours of about 2 and about 6:30, probably try to reduce your time outside if you're not a fan of the heat, because that's where we're going to be in that 90-plus territory. It's going to be real hot. And look at the overnight lows. That's something else. These temperatures are going to be in the upper 70s at times, mid to upper 70s. That's the coolest point in the night before sunset. We only drop to 76, 77. It is going to also be a little bit more humid outside. So with all of those things being a factor, if you're a person like me who likes the house on 67 degrees in order to sleep comfortably, you'll probably have to drop that thermostat just a little bit to compensate for the fact that you're dealing with warmer overnights and higher, more importantly, higher humidity, because the temperature is the temperature. It's going to adjust. But whenever it's more humid, that 67 feels a little bit different in the house than a less humid one. Does that make sense? Hope so. Anyways, I've taken up a lot of y'all's time. I always say I'm going to keep you here for a good time, not a long time. I have work to do because we have a lot to prepare you for the newscast tonight. Once again, our team is diving into all of the breaking news that we've been covering all afternoon, from the 4 people, 3 people plus the suspect who was shot earlier in the mall today at around, I think this happened in the 2 o'clock hour. And of course, the bus chase that unfolded on the airwaves during our early newscast at around 4:30-ish. We're working to find out more about this. Unfortunately, we know someone lost their life on the bus. There were 17 people on the bus, including the bus driver. And so we're trying to figure out what these people experienced. You know, I don't know about you. I know how I am. I don't like to fly. I'll be honest with you. Being on planes is terrifying for me. And it's because I don't have any control over what's happening. And so I can only imagine being a passenger on a bus that is hijacked, where some sort of struggle essentially took place that left someone injured. I think that it's been reported, we've been reporting that someone had a gunshot wound, trying to figure out the timeline of all of that. And that's what our news team is working on. Y'all know I do weather, so I can tell you what they say. But they're working on figuring out all of the dynamics that happened tonight. And we're going to bring you that information tonight at 10. So have a good evening. It's just Tuesday. It's just Tuesday. You have a good night.